What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh.
Isn't that weird?
What?
Yeah. Hi, and welcome to the SaVeg podcast.
I'm Rose, also known as Cheap Lazy Vegan on YouTube.
And I'm Daniel, one of your favorite guest stars on Cheap Lazy Vegan's YouTube channel.
We're two friends who love to talk about the latest trending topics.
So get comfortable and join us while we give our SaVeg take on just about everything.
You are currently listening to the previous episode of this podcast, but if you would like to listen to this week's episode and get some exclusive content, go over to patreon.com/thesavagepodcast.
Hello, hello.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of the SaVeg podcast.
Woo woo! Guys,
How you doing, Rose?
we be drowning.
We be drowning. Why are we drowning?
I be busy as hell.
Oh, goddamn.
I be stressed.
That's true. It's been a busy May for us.
Oh my God. I mean, I feel so stupid every time. I'm like, I'm so busy.
You're like, it's another busy month.
Every month, I say the same thing.
People are probably like, Rose cries a river. You know? Oh, you're
I
so
literally
busy.
feel like I'm like, it's too busy.
Yeah. This month, I feel like also is too busy.
Yes.
Speaking of too busy, guys, we do have an announcement coming up.
Yes, because we realized. Okay, well, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, announcement. So, because you guys listen to our podcast, we tell you a lot of shit.
We do.
That we don't say. At least, I mean, you're not like a social media person.
No.
But I don't like.
I'm on OnlyFans, though, you know.
I know. Guys,
Yeah.
subscribe. It's only 2 cents a month.
I'm making $1 million a month, Rose. So I got a lot of subscribers, okay?
So, yeah, so I feel like I don't like say everything, you know, on my other platforms, but I feel like podcasts, we're chatting, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So because you listen to the podcast, you get, you know, the details of our lives.
Yes.
So what are we doing in June?
So basically we were regrouping and we were like chatting about June and the month of June because we're both going off to different places. Oh, actually the same place, but at different times.
Okay, so we're going to London.
Yeah, yay.
Okay, well, I'm going to London first.
Yeah.
That was like a last minute. It's not really last minute.
I feel like whenever you book your trip, so it's always last minute. You're like, Daniel, guess what? I'm going to Japan tomorrow.
Okay.
You know?
The only reason why I book things last minute, I mean, other than the fact that I do have some issues with, you know, committing to things, you know, far in advance. By far, I mean more than 2 months in advance. 2 months. Come on.
There was not you literally booked this with like 3 weeks, Rose. It wasn't even a full month. So.
But normally, anyways, yeah, so that's one reason. Second reason I have issues is like with booking, you know, trips.
I was like, whoa, we're really going deep here. Second reason Rose has issues. Okay, let's
Second
really
reason
deep
I have
dive.
issues specifically with the booking trips in advance is because I have the cafe and I just don't know what the employee situation will be. You know, there's a lot of turnover with cafes, you know, and so, yeah, I'm just not sure, especially during COVID. Just, I don't know. It's just like a weird time. Anyways, and what was the other reason? Oh, and in the summer, I'm taking pottery classes. So I can't leave during that time. Anyways, so I had to book a trip basically like in this little time frame. So I'm going in June. Daniel's rolling his eyes at me. I'm going in June, basically end of May 31st, I'm leaving. So guys, if any of you are in London and you see a crazy red-haired Asian, say hello. Yeah. It's probably me. Yeah. So I'm going for like a little over 2 weeks, which is like kind of long.
It's a long time, but you're also going to Italy as well, aren't you?
I know. Okay, so I'm doing a trip to London. I'm staying with my friend, and then my friend is going to Milan for like a couple days for work. So of course, as I always do, I love tagging along to corporate things.
Yep.
So I'm going to go with her. And the thing is, if you guys don't know, Milan also has a special place in my heart because I also lived in Milan back in the day, like in 2010. It's been 12 years. I cannot believe. God dang. So, yeah. So I'm also going to Milan, but that's just for like a couple days, 3 days, 4 days. And yeah, so that's happening.
Holy shit. So you're really in London for so long.
I'm so excited.
Like you have so much time there. I have like no time there.
I know, that's the thing. You have no time there.
I know.
So what's tell us your like trip thing.
So basically, long story short, guys, we're like going like basically what we realized like for the month of June, like Rose is gone for pretty much the first while. She gets back, and then a week later, not even a week later, like 6 days later, I'm gone for 2 weeks as well.
Yes.
So we had a discussion, guys, and we're like, look, it's going to get really logistically complicated for us to try to, like, I know we recorded in different countries before, but like, it's just like, it was just too much. And we're like, you know what? We're going to take the month of June off completely.
Of the podcast.
Off the podcast. Yeah.
So I'm sure none of you are like, I'm sure none of you care that much.
Yeah, you're probably like, it's okay.
If you do,
like,
okay. We are going to take, the month of June off. So if you are a patron, I think we've made an announcement, or we will make an announcement.
Yeah.
If you are a patron, we are going to pause payments for June so that you don't have to pay for June, obviously, because we're not going to provide content.
Exactly.
But in July, we will be back. It'll come sooner than we, can even imagine.
I know. Well, we're back with a vengeance because you know what? Actually, guys, we're trying. Well, we're not trying something new. Rose is going to do her first solo episode.
Oh my God, you guys. So season 2 of the SaVeg podcast.
Yeah.
I'm coming back with solo episode because Daniel's going to be in still traveling.
I'll be away. So the very first episode in July, Rose is going to be doing solo diary.
I can spill some tea on Daniel.
Oh, so do not. Because I'm still going to see them, Rose.
Of course I know. No, but we're going to do a solo episode. So if there's any topics you're like interested in for me to deep dive in, I can talk about the news, but I feel like we, like the back and forth is quite nice. But if there's anything you want me to talk about, whether it be, whatever the fuck. Okay. Like being a content creator, being a YouTuber, what else?
I don't know. I guess we'll see what people say.
Whatever you want me to talk about, let me know. If you have any requests, I will do a solo episode. I don't know how it's going to go.
Be interesting.
I'm a bit nervous, but I'll be editing it, so I'm less nervous because we all know what happens when Daniel edits my video.
You know what, Rose?
Anyways.
So that's the kind of tea that's going to be spelt while I'm gone.
Oh my God. So, okay. So that's why we're going to take June off.
Yeah.
Thank you for your understanding in advance.
Yeah.
We have not taken a break really from this
We
podcast.
did take I remember we took 1 week off once.
Sure, which is like,
Yeah, which is amazing because we've been doing this for like.
moving or something. Like, what was happening?
Yeah, I think maybe.
There was some kind of crazy thing happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're like, we need to take a week off.
Like, considering that we've literally been doing this for almost 2 years.
I know. The entirety of the fucking pandemic.
We've been doing this the entire
longer.
Pandemic. Oh my God, because we started this.
Before pandemic.
Because we started 2019, right?
Yes.
So November 2019, November 2020, 2021. They're coming up to our 3rd year of the podcast.
It's kind of crazy. So if you guys have stuck around since the beginning,
That's
hello.
Insane.
Y'all are awesome. Make sure you review the podcast 5 stars. Okay.
Give us 5 stars, guys.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy times. So we're gonna take a month off. I think it'll be nice. We need to like recharge, regenerate. You know, I feel like very burnt out.
Self-care.
Yes, I feel very burnt out. We could talk about burnout if you want.
Yeah.
Because definitely there's some burnout happening.
Damn.
It's a lot of like I don't know, burnout. You know what? Let's save that discussion for the solo episode.
Yeah, you'll talk about that in the solo episode.
We'll still do the podcast for the next 1 or 2 more episodes. Basically until the end of May.
End of May, yeah.
Which is only in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So fuck.
And we're still going to do obviously the Patreon exclusive for May.
Of course.
That's happening where we're going to be spilling some tea.
Spilling the tea.
So
if you want to listen to the Patreon exclusive for May, you can still sign up for a Patreon and you won't be charged in June. Okay.
Yeah.
So sign up now, listen to the Patreon exclusive, listen to all of our old episodes. And just a reminder, if you don't know the perks, what are the perks, Daniel?
The perks are, guys, every single month except for June, we are doing, we do a Patreon exclusive episode. And you'll get access to our archive of episodes of the Patreon exclusives, which we've been doing now for almost 3 years. So there's like 36
crazy.
episodes of that. And also all the content on there, guys, is ad free. So I know we do get some comments on YouTube being like, wow, there's so many ads, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah,
I gotta pay the bills.
Exactly.
Honey.
There are ads on there, but on Patreon, there's not. And you get the episodes a week earlier than the public. So you get the content right when it's created.
Yeah.
Right away.
Exactly.
And
so make sure you sign up.
Yeah. And you get to interact with us on a daily basis.
More personal level.
Exactly.
So definitely check it out. And shall we
Patreon.com/the SaVeg podcast.
Perfect, Daniel. Yeah. Look at you. You're a great marketer. You should be a social media influencer.
Well, I have the looks.
You do.
I could do some of what the kids are calling these days thirst traps.
Oh, God damn, Daniel.
Should I do a thirst trap?
I think you... You do a thirst trap every day in the mirror when you check yourself out. You should just film it.
God damn.
Anyway. Subscribe to Daniel's OnlyFans.
Yep.
Shall we dive into the
let's get into our stories, guys.
Apparently there's some interesting stories.
I think I'm going to start off with the most disturbing one that I think is going to rock Rose's world.
Okay, tell me. Just do it.
Okay.
Come on.
So it's less of a news story, more of there was a documentary that I decided to watch on Netflix.
What's it called, Daniel?
It's called Our Father.
Okay, so I have heard this one. You told me.
Did I tell you the story?
Is it about a guy that impregnates a bunch of women without their knowledge? Oh, so you did tell me the story.
I thought it was more shocking.
Oh
anyway.
my God. See, this is what happens.
Now you've ruined the punchline.
Well, here's a fun fact about Daniel. He never remembers what he tells me. Even though you have very good memory, you often repeat stories.
I have very good selective memory, I think. That's what it is.
You probably tell me the same story about 10 times total before you stop.
Before it hits me, and then I'm like...
No, I don't think it ever hits you. I think I actually have to be like, you've told me this story about 10 times.
But anyway, moving on, guys. Okay, so for those of you...
Wait, tell me more about the story.
Okay.
And should I was going to watch it. Should I still watch it? Like,
there's going to be spoilers, but I would still watch it because it's like fucking disturbing.
Okay. But like, it's not as disturbing as orangutan rape.
That's very... That's true.
Okay,
I don't think anything will ever be as disturbing as that.
As we're walking, because we took a little walk before we came here.
Yeah.
Daniel's like, I have a really disturbing story. It's almost as disturbing as orangutan rape. Did we talk about this?
I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast, but basically one day...
I shouldn't laugh. It's so bad.
It is bad. So one day I was like telling Rose, I was like, oh, like there's one other species in the world that's like, or at least that they know of, that's known to commit, like within their species, commit rape. But then also...
Can we say this word? Let's call it grape. No, let's call it... I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, maybe we're not allowed to say this word.
Let's call it the R word.
Yeah, so
we've already said it. But
I know,
whatever.
it's too late now.
I feel like if we say it more, it's,
it will start to cause
Yes.
problems. Yeah, okay. So anyway.
The R word.
Yeah, the R word. But basically, it was found that there was some people, or there was a story that came out of this like girl that like went there to like work at an orangutan like sanctuary or whatever it might be.
Oh, God.
And one of the orangutans R-worded her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure it's not that common, but like it is possible that an orangutan can R-word a person.
Yes, R-word a person.
Yeah, and so I told Rose.
No, we found this out together.
Yeah.
And I was forever traumatized.
And Rose screamed.
I will never look at orangutans the same way again.
I know, because I always like one of my things on my bucket list that I have, guys, is I want to go to Borneo and I want to go to like an orangutan conservation area.
Why specifically orangutans?
I don't know.
They've already kind of freaked me out. I feel like they're very interesting looking.
Yeah.
They're very scary looking already.
I don't know.
And then that fact scared the shit out of me. Well, here's the interesting thing. It's because of the fact that if you guys have seen orangutans, like the male orangutan has that weird like mask-like face, right?
Big face.
That huge big face.
Yeah.
Apparently, that is not something that all males have.
They don't.
So when you have that big like masculine, what they perceive as masculine face, apparently all the female orangutans want to mate with that one male orangutan.
Yes.
So it's I guess it's similar to like humans where like, there's only a certain like number of, men that like all the women want to like, bang.
Yeah. Well, and the way it works is like the male orangutan, the one with the big face is like the dominant male. Yes. And in his area, he'll have like maybe 4 or 5 females that like each have their own little areas that overlap with his. But because orangutans are like solitary, right? Like they don't really get together. They're not like troop animals. Anyway, so what other males have evolved to do, because not everyone can be the dominant male, is they actually look a lot more similar to like female orangutans. Okay. So they don't have the big face. They don't have this. And obviously the females don't want to mate with them.
And then they are them instead.
They force themselves onto them.
Oh God, it's actually so disturbing.
Interestingly though, and I think that, and don't quote me on this, but I recall that if one of those like non-dominant orangutans eventually becomes the dominant male, they'll develop the face.
Yeah, see, that's what I think we were reading, which is also very fascinating.
It's interesting, but it's kind of like gorillas. You know how gorillas, the dominant one gets that silverback?
Oh.
That develops over time. I feel like if another male gorilla...
Maybe as they just get older, they just kind of... No?
I don't know.
Anyway.
Anywho.
So orangutans don't really want to do,
you don't want
to get near them anymore, ever. I mean, I never really did. Yeah. They were always very creepy to me.
But that was like next level.
Yeah.
But then I did tell Rose, I was like, this story's on par with that.
I don't think it's on par, but tell us the story,
Okay,
Daniel.
so anyway. There's a documentary on Netflix called Our Father. And I was just like the other day, like I was like, I'm just going to watch this documentary, see what it's about.
Is it a movie documentary?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's only like, I think it's an hour and 10 minutes,
okay.
maybe.
Maybe if I want to be disturbed, I'll watch it.
And basically, if you guys have seen it, by the way, hashtag spoilers alert. There was a doctor that worked in the United States, and apparently this is more common than we think.
Sure.
They worked in a fertility clinic, and he was like the top renowned doctor of this fertility clinic. So some women went there and they asked for donor, to be artificially inseminated with donor sperm. And the rule, I guess, and I didn't realize this, but it makes sense. If you're using donor sperm, they only allow, like in an area, you're only allowed to use the same donor for up to three people.
Okay.
The reason being is like, for example, if I donated and then in Calgary and then they like used mine for like a bazillion people, there would be kids that would be siblings that wouldn't know it. Do you know what I mean? Like there would be a lot of issues in terms of like genetic pool diversity and everything.
Right.
So it makes sense, right? So you're like, okay, the maximum is 3. So anyway, some of these women went there and had donor sperm. Other women though went with their husbands, and maybe they had fertility problems with their husbands, and they were artificially inseminated with what they thought was their husband's sperm.
Right.
So you have two different kind of stories, or two different situations.
So some women didn't have a partner, but they wanted to be pregnant.
Or they did have a partner, but they couldn't get pregnant by their partner.
Right.
Yeah.
So then they have to have some sort of artificial insemination.
Exactly.
And then there was the case of they went. Okay. Got it. Okay.
So anyway, long story short, this one girl, she's like growing up, and she like wants to find out more about her, who her father was and whatever else. So she contacted the hospital, the fertility clinic, asked the doctor. She actually spoke to the doctor and was like, hey, like, do you mind giving me a bit more information on who my donor was? Like, I would love to like meet him or like learn more about who he was or whatever. And he was like, oh, sorry, like that's confidential. I can't share that information, which I think is standard practice anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she was like, forgot about it. She's like, whatever. This was like years and years and years ago. So then like maybe like 5 years ago or something, you know how there's like that big explosion of like these DNA kits that like you can test your DNA, right?
Yeah.
Ancestry or whatever. It was like an explosion.
Yeah.
So anyway, so she got one of these DNA things and she's like, oh, this is super exciting. I'm going to find out if I maybe have some like siblings, because maybe maybe I have up to 3, right?
Sure.
So she's like, cool, let's do this. So she does it. And at the time gets like, I don't know, I think 7 or 8 siblings, half siblings. And she's like, what the fuck?
Oh, it tells you like how many siblings there are.
Like how many people are genetically attached to, but only people that have also done the app, right? Or done the test.
So that's like very significantly high number.
Huge.
Because the chance that all your siblings have done that is very low, if not impossible.
It gets better. It gets so much better, Rose. Okay.
I think I've heard of this story though. I think that's why it wasn't as shocking when you told me, because
I've
I
never
think
heard of
before that story I've heard it.
Oh, see, I never heard of it.
So tell me more.
Continues on. So she starts meeting people, and as she's like, she has like her ancestry, like I guess it's an app or whatever.
Sure.
And like as the time is going on, she's like trying to connect with people, and it's all linking to this fertility clinic. And she's like, okay, this is really weird. So then she asked him, and
they're realizing that they're all from that clinic.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then she like asked him again, and he was like, no, we've only used the donor, like, maximum. Maybe you have like 10 siblings or something, right? So all of a sudden, then there's like 14, 15. She's like, okay, this is getting really, really weird.
Oh my God.
So then they find out it was actually the doctor. So it was the doctor who was.
How did they find out?
I can't remember. I think through the Ancestry website, she like somehow was able to link to other members of his family.
Okay.
And they were able to bring it back to him. So then she confronted him, and she was like, the main girl, and she was like, what's going on? He's like, oh, like I know that these women came here and they really wanted to have kids of their own and like blah 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 blah. And then she's like, okay. And then he's like, the maximum siblings you'll have is like 20. And she's like, okay, fine. A little bit of time goes, gets up to 40. And she's like, okay, what the actual fuck? And one guy, he was like randomly went on there, who ended up being one of her half brothers. She's like, yeah, normally when you do Ancestry, you get like, maybe 40 hits or something. He's like, I got 3,000, because it was like all the extended members of family,
right? All
the connections to all the brothers, the half siblings. So it was like crazy. And he was like, and then when he saw he had like 40 half siblings, he was like, what the actual fuck? Then it comes out, a lot of them are, they have like immune disorders and stuff, because he actually wasn't really that healthy of a person, the doctor guy.
Right.
And then also it's like really creepy, because basically the way it worked is like the woman would be there. He would go into the other room, get a
Finish
sample.
himself,
yeah. Come back and then put it inside her.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh God. It's kind of like the R word.
It is. This is what the big
like
argument
R
was.
word
Yeah.
material.
This is what people were saying. They were like, there was not consent. There was like, I mean, they consented.
Absolutely, there's no consent.
Exactly.
Because they're consenting to a donor.
A healthy donor sperm.
Yes, and they should. They technically they kind of know the donor. Even if it's a stranger, they know information, right?
Usually, yeah.
Yeah, like they give the full details, like family history and everything. So he's going. What happened to this man? Did he go to jail? Are you joking?
So
this is definitely illegal.
Oh yeah, no, but not in the U.S. apparently. He never went to jail. Yeah, actually, he might have gone to jail for like a lesser charge, but they couldn't like pin him on this whole situation.
How? Okay,
I can't remember. Yeah, you need to watch. I can't remember exactly what the nuances were, but anyway, long story short, so this number keeps growing, right? Gets to like 52 siblings.
Of course.
And every time a new person came up on this app, she would like personally message them, right? So she would be like, by the way, so she reached out to this one girl.
Yeah.
And she reached out to this one girl who was on the app, and the girl was like, didn't believe her. She's like, this is such bullshit. Like, what are you talking about? You know, this is a scam. And then the girl didn't think anything of it. And then like a week later, she saw her and a bunch of other people on like Dr. Phil or something. And she was like, holy fuck.
Oh my God.
Realizing that you're part of this, right?
Yeah.
The whole time this is going on, the number keeps going up and keeps going up and keeps going up. And so everybody that's like part of this, it got up to
100 something?
No, while they were filming the documentary, I think it was only 94. but still 94, and it's all in the same area, right? Like it's in this like area of the US. So a lot of people were like, oh my God, they would find out like their neighbor over there was like their half brother.
Oh my
right?
God.
And it started getting really complicated because it's like they have kids that would go to school together. Do you know what I mean? Like,
right.
It was really, really fucked up. And like, I was just like,
so he just wanted to like spread his seed.
Well, this is the other thing about this thing. And they think that there's something more dark and sinister to it. Because he was like members of this like cult kind of thing that was talking about spreading your seed. And how it's like important to like have as many children as possible and blah, 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 blah. And then on this documentary was like, this is not uncommon. Like this one person was the most prolific of everyone. But there's other cases where like doctors that worked at fertility clinics had impregnated like 10 to 15 women.
There's other cases?
Yeah. It's fucked up, guys. I remember just like watching it, and the whole time I was like gasping because they would show the count of numbers, and it just kept going up and up and up. And then also those families that thought it was like their husband's sperm.
Yeah.
And now to find out that their daughter actually isn't related at all. Like, I mean, they're still their parents.
Of course. Not that it should matter.
Yeah. But I was like, this is some fucked up shit.
Okay. That is so fucked. I don't even... I can't believe he's not in jail. I can't believe he didn't go to jail. Like, that's what's shocking.
Well, and it was crazy. Like, he was such a liar about all this stuff as well. Like, every time people were trying to confront him and stuff, he was just like... very not truthful. I don't know, the whole situation. I was like, I feel so bad for these women.
Oh my God.
Because even the moms are like, I've been violated. Like, I have actually been violated.
Disgusting.
And the worst part is like sometimes like fertility, you have to go a bunch of times.
Right.
Because it doesn't like always happen on the first try. So they're like, I literally, and then the worst part is the girl that didn't believe it at first and then saw everyone on Dr. Phil and was like, holy fuck, I'm actually part of this. She freaked out because her family gynecologist and doctor is the same person. Who's also her father. Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah.
That's gross.
I know. He was like giving me like these kind of exams, down there exams, everything. And she's like, I didn't even know he was my father.
Oh my. Oh God. Nothing is pure, guys.
No.
Nothing is pure.
I
do not trust fertility clinics, apparently.
Well, it's just like, it was so, I think maybe now they're better. Like this kind of, well, I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Apparently it happens more than once.
Yeah, it's happened to more. There was quite a few. There was a couple others. They didn't name the doctors, but they're like, this is the most prolific case in the US, but it's not the only one.
And there's also cases of doctors and nurses killing patients. Obviously, these are very small percentages of people, okay?
Yeah.
But the fact that it even happens at all is scary.
I know. This whole situation.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh my God, like how you would feel. And the worst part is too, it's like he actually had a lot of health issues. So these were all passed on, obviously, because a lot of them had autoimmune disorders, all kinds of stuff, because he has that, right? And it's like, that's not fair because, part of which, fair or not, but part of the process to become a donor, like I have actually never donated, but like part of the process is you do have to be a healthy person. Like you have to be like, you can't have like too much history of like hardcore things. Like if I had a history of like cancers, like prolific cancers and stuff, they're not going to accept me as a donor, right? Like if I have an autoimmune disorder and it's rampant in my family, they're not going to accept me as a donor, right? So I think that in itself should have like some kind of case in the court of law. Like I feel like that's, even if those women did go in there wanting donor sperm, which, you know, could be the argument that like they got what they wanted, but at the end of the day, no, because when you go in with that mindset, you think that you're getting healthy, you know, and I'm not saying just because someone has healthier like genetics, that doesn't mean that those people will not get sick or have issues, but the chances are much lower, right? So it's kind of like you're violating people in several different ways and you're misleading them.
I mean, I think the health issues is like secondary, or not even secondary. The most important thing is that it's like, yeah, you don't like, you did not consent to this.
Exactly. And they were arguing as well, like a big part of it that's disturbing is like the fact that he would get the woman set up and then he goes into the other room to, you know, provide a sample, if you will. So it has a sexual element to it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
so
it definitely does.
He would come in there and he did this to like, already what we're finding out, there was 94 cases we know of so far. So that's 94 women. And that's 94 times. Probably each of them took a couple times to get pregnant as well.
Yeah.
So we're talking,
ew,
you know, in an office.
Ew.
Yeah.
How do they, like he must have done this over many years, or no?
Oh yeah, it was over a very long time.
How do they not, like, I feel like, is there no way, I don't know how these things work.
Me neither.
Okay?
I just know that it's very messed up, and
like,
I was
maybe
just like,
they need to DNA test each, you know, specimen.
Mm-hmm. But I think that before this case really came out, you would never think that, right? Like, you never assume especially because like you look at like certain professions, like a doctor, for example.
You're supposed to trust these people.
Exactly. They're in a position of power, in a position of where you trust them.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you that you just cannot blindly trust just
really
because
can't.
Exactly. Just because someone's gone to school for a really long time and they're in a position of authority or like control, that does not mean shit.
Yeah. There's cases of doctors, like, again, this is very small percentage of doctors. Yeah. Obviously, a lot of doctors, amazing, whatever. Yeah. But there's cases like, you know, like true crime cases of doctors like killing patients, you know, like drugging them, like nurses, like intentionally drugging their patients, like all this shit. Like, it can happen. That's what's scary though, because I would immediately trust a doctor almost always. Like 100%. I go in, I trust the doctor. Yeah. And most of the time it's completely fine. But I think it's also because
we're taught to, right? Like we're taught to respect those people in those positions. It's like police officers. You're supposed to, they're in a position of power. You're supposed to trust them. Right. And just assume that whoever's that police officer, they're going to be, you know, enforcing the law.
Sure. But and also, especially with doctors, because they're dealing with something that we don't have knowledge over. Yeah. So I think it's more so that we're going to trust them because like they have, you know, years of knowledge that we don't have. So whatever they say, of course I'm going to go with it because I don't have any other, you know, knowledge.
Exactly.
You know, so God, that's so gross.
I know, it's so disturbing.
What is wrong with people? Oof. Honestly, on this episode of What the Fuck is Wrong with People, we should just call this goddamn podcast What the Fuck is Wrong with People.
Oh, god dang.
Am I wrong? What's the next story on What the Fuck is Wrong with People?
Well, actually, the other stories, they're not all what the fuck is wrong, okay?
Oh, you didn't hear about... Of course you didn't hear about the story, Daniel.
I probably did, but maybe I just don't have it in my list of stories. You want to tell me about it, Rose?
It's a pretty big fucking story.
Okay, let's hear about it, Rose.
Have you heard about the mass shooting in Buffalo?
I think Buffalo, New York. Yes, I did hear about it.
Oh my God.
It's like 10 people died or something, right?
10 people died. What? I think 12 people total. I think it was like 10 people died and then maybe 2 got injured. I don't know the exact thing. I think it happened either yesterday or today. It must have been yesterday. Or was it today? It must have been yesterday. So basically, I think it's basically like a terrorist attack. He wrote some sort of manifesto. Oh, God. Let's see. Okay, let's see. An 18-year-old white man accused of killing 10 people in a racist mass shooting Saturday at a supermarket in Buffalo, New York. And he had all, I mean, I haven't read too much into it, but he had all kinds of like mental health issues. He was talking, I guess he wrote some kind of manifesto, because they loved fucking writing a manifesto about how basically, he believed all the racist crap, like, oh, minorities are, coming into this country and, taking things away from white people, like that kind of shit, like basically.
Oh my God, it's the worst.
And then, I think he had a lot of like issues. And again, he somehow had legal weapons. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, the information comes as investigators have dug into a 180-page.
Oh my God.
Why
are you writing 180 pages?
Diatribe. What's that? Diatribe.
I don't know what a diatribe is.
But anyway, posted online and attributed to the suspected gunman that lays out in detail his motives and plans for the attack.
But then the thing is, I don't know if people saw this, right? Like, it's so sad. We have a retired police lieutenant that was one of the victims, a substitute teacher, a beloved grandmother of 6.
It's just so sad.
It's so sad, you guys.
It's just like the stupidest, honestly.
Oh my God, honestly.
Not that I ever think racism is smart, but it's like the stupidest fucking thing ever by like judging somebody on their appearance. Like I know. It's so stupid. And it's like 10 people were fucking killed because of this idiot,
He's 18. What is wrong? Like, seriously, people, if you're 18, do not make any decisions.
I know.
Okay? Not that 18-year-olds are like this, but like, and why is an 18-year-old with mental health issues having a gun? Why?
Well, people, it's the land of America where they have the right to have guns, Rose. Okay? They have the right to bear arms.
Yet a woman cannot get an abortion, apparently.
No.
Great.
So we're allowed to have guns. But
pro-life.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yep. Just like having a gun seems to be pro-life to me as well, hey?
Oh my God. Seriously. That's the thing. That's what kills me. It's like the same people that are saying that they're pro-life are also very much not for gun control. So
I have a question, guys. Because there are some people that watch this podcast that have not vocally, but have written comments about the gun.
About guns?
About guns, right?
I feel like guns are like even if you're a little bit left wing, if you're in the States, like I feel like the perception of guns is very different.
But this is what I mean. This is where my question out to the audience will go. But like, I just want to know, like, how many, please just give me a number. Like, how many mass shootings have to happen before there's like a wake up call where it's like, okay, we're actually gonna look at our gun legislation. Like, how many have to happen? Like, I'm not saying that we don't have any gun violence in Canada. Like, there is definitely guns here. It does happen from time to time. But like, I mean, it's
nothing.
Exactly. Like, when's the last time we've had a mass shooting?
I honestly, I don't know.
Like,
I know we do. We've had it.
We've had definitely like
time. But it's just, I feel like we it's never gonna stop because right now there's so many mass shootings. And things are not changing. So nothing's going to change. Like,
was it you that was like read an article or something that mentioned like in the US, there's more mass shootings than days in the year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, like, come on. Like, I get it. Like, I don't get it. But like, you just have to look at like, again, like what is going to have to happen? Where is the breaking point where it's like, they're saying, okay,
there is none.
This is too much. We've had too much gun violence. We need to rein this in.
I don't think there is a breaking point. Honestly, like, I don't think there is.
And people ask why I don't want to like live in the States. Like, honestly, I'm like, I'm sorry. I'll visit there, even though I'm scared for my life when I do. Okay. They don't lie, especially down south.
Where's the good guy with the gun stopping this bad guy with the gun? Like,
well, then you get into all kinds of other stuff.
Oh my God. I
remember the whole Kyle Rittenhouse case?
Let's not
go there. Because there was also some vocal people about that one. So I don't know, guys. Again, just pose the question. Tell me, how many mass shootings have to happen in the U.S. before gun legislation is even talked about or promoted? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm a loss for words of this one, honestly.
It's so crazy.
And it's so sad. Like, all of these innocent people had died.
I know.
For no fucking reason.
Literally. And the guy had so many mental health issues. And again, I'm not sure, but I heard that it was legal weapons, but I could be totally wrong. But like, if that is just, like, come on. Okay, if you have a system where someone that is this racist, that has this much hatred, that has all these issues, has a gun, like, that is a broken system, okay?
Yeah.
Anyways.
It's funny because they're putting like in this article, they're like, what happens next? So President Biden and the First Lady are scheduled to visit Buffalo on Tuesday and meet with the families of the shooting victims, first responders and community leaders. That's great. But why don't we look at fucking gun legislation? I don't understand.
It's never going to happen.
Ugh.
This discussion has been happening since like Columbine.
No, I know. And it's
which
like,
was in the 90s.
and this is like a vicious cycle because then the people are saying, hey, if those people in the grocery store had guns, they could have like, you know what I mean?
Okay, like, it's such stupid logic. I'm sorry.
I know. So basically, they're just saying like everyone in the U.S. needs to run around with a gun.
Are you just gonna start fucking shooting everyone then? Like,
no. And like, there's.
Do you know how hard it is to like? I mean, I assume it's very hard to shoot someone like in like when that's like the gunman or whatever. Like, I assume that's difficult.
I don't know. I don't operate guns, but
I assume that doesn't end well for a lot of people.
But I'm like, again, the thing with guns is like, it's very easy to kill somebody with a gun. Exactly. This is the dangerous thing. So like if you're running around with guns, if everybody has guns, the chances of you hurting yourself or someone else by accident even by the gun going off in your pants or like, do you know what I mean? You're already putting yourself at more risk. It's like, it's such.
I know, it's so fucking stupid.
I just don't know where to go. I don't know where to go with this.
I don't know, man. I mean, shit, like, I'm sorry. I feel like, I think we just talked about Handmaid's Tale last time.
Yeah.
And one of the, like, storylines is that, because they call the land, the U.S., like, Gilead. That's, like, the new name of the U.S.
Yeah.
And then they're trying to escape to Canada. Because, like, Canada is supposed to be, like, the better place where, like, people are a little bit more free.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like, you know, the U.S. is kind of becoming Gilead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny. It's funny because if you look at history, it's like everyone's trying to escape to Canada. Do you remember then they had the Underground Railroad?
God damn. Tell me about the Underground Railroad.
So I don't know too much about it, but I remember learning about it in like social studies like years ago, guys.
You have really good memory. I don't remember anything from social studies. I thought it was so boring.
I found it interesting. I found some of it. Some of the Canadian history, I was like, oh, this is like
Canadian history is the most boring shit I've ever fucking read.
But anyway, besides the point. So when there was still like slavery in the US down south, there was a lot of people that were enslaved and obviously didn't want to be, like they don't want to be there. Of course. They had some, and this is where I think like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that there's some really impressive people out there that are like doing amazing things. And one of the things that happened is these people that were enslaved would escape to Canada. So, and what they called it the Underground Railroad, but essentially what it was like a series of people that had houses all the way up to Canada, but it would be like families, like myself or whoever, and it was predominantly I think white families
that
were helping,
yeah.
And they could risk getting into serious trouble, and they would like help, and they would hide these people and help them get up to Canada where they would escape to their freedom.
See, why can't this be the norm? Like, why can't people be that kind just all around?
Because at that time it was so risky. It's like
I know, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's like if everyone had those hearts, we wouldn't have problems.
Well, exactly. It's like when you read the story of like the Diary of Anne Frank and how
exactly. I was just thinking about that. It's like even during the Holocaust times, like there were families that were risking their lives.
Yeah.
Helping victims, and I mean, God, it's just. Yeah. It's fucked up.
It is.
Yeah. I think even in Handmaid's Tale, they have like a storyline about like some people that are helping people like escape to Canada or whatever.
And I wonder if I was in that position, like I hope I would be that brave, but I don't know.
I don't think I could be that brave. That's the thing. I feel like I'd be too scared.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know.
Scary.
It is when you're in that situation. So
yeah. I mean, hopefully we'll never have to be in that situation.
Fingers crossed.
But Canada, we're still accepting immigration. So if you are in the States.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very fucked up.
It is. It'd be fucked up.
It's really fucked up. Okay, what's the next story?
So
we have a little bit of happier story?
Yes, let's do the happy story first. Okay. I think you're gonna love this one, Rose.
Oh goddamn, what would it be? What'd it be?
So.
Oh.
Did you hear about this?
No.
So apparently, guys. So this is, I don't think it's like set in stone yet.
Set in stone.
It's not set in stone, but Spain is set to become the first European country to introduce 3 days of menstrual leave for women.
Let me do my clap. But this is an actual clap.
Yeah.
I mean, this should be everywhere, so I will give a slow clap.
Yeah. So this is basically, they recognize that the law, We will be recognized by the law the right of women with painful menstruation and temporary incapacity that will be paid for by the state.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I do understand, like, I obviously don't know too much about, menstruation, but I do know that, like, for example, some women, they experience a lot more
severe pain
and agony than others, or some of them, it's like a hit or miss. Like some people will for maybe 11 months of the year, it's totally fine. And then 1 month of the year, it's like fucking crazy where they like can't get out of bed. They have like blinding migraines.
Yeah.
So, this makes sense. So this means that women that have like maybe periods of time where that's interesting. Periods of time.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. But let's say their menstrual cycle for that month, for whatever reason, is like incapacitating or is just horrible for them. They can kind of be relieved that, they have support at least.
Absolutely. I think it should be everywhere. I personally I'm very lucky. I don't deal with very severe pain, although I have had a few times in my life.
I was going to say, when we were living in London, I remember there was a couple instances where you had like really bad ones.
Like sometimes lately I've been very it hasn't, maybe I'm healthier now, or maybe it has nothing to do with health or whatever. But like I haven't had like a severe pain in a while, but I do always get like uncomfortable. So like first day or something, there is like a severe like uncomfortability where you're feeling really bloated, and sometimes there's a little cramp for me. You're kind of just tired.
God, you deal with this every month?
Yes, every month. But some women, and mine is mild, okay?
Yeah.
Like I don't have actual severe pain most of the time, although I have had it, and it is not fun. Like you're like clutching to your stomach area, your uterus, and you're like, you can't, it's just like a constant like cramp, and then you can't really and sometimes you have the sweats because it's like painful.
God,
it's not fun. And even if it's not painful, it's uncomfortable, right? It's
every month.
It's every month. Like your body is like fucking bleeding, man. Like it's not a fun time.
God damn, I'm so happy I don't have to deal with that.
Some women they deal with it every month, and it's bad.
Yeah.
So absolutely, they should have paid time off because men don't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And that's not even to mention that women have to deal with 9 months of fucking pregnancy. I'm telling you, God is definitely a man, because there's no fucking way,
And you forgot also to talk about shit. What's it called when you get to like 50 or something and you
menopause?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's
we
also
get gifted
crazy.
with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And can be really painful.
Yes, that can be very uncomfortable and very just not a good time.
No, I read part of this article as well, which I think is quite funny because we were talking about the states before.
Sure.
And it's like the Spanish government. So this hasn't been approved yet, right? It's a draft.
Oh, it's not approved.
No, it's a drafted bill. But the Spanish government is expected to endorse menstrual leave as part of a broader draft bill on reproductive health and abortion rights.
God damn. Is it legal in Spain? I assume so.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I don't know the full details or whatever, but I imagine that it's probably more liberal than what the U.S. is proposing.
Oh my God. Honestly, you know what? I was watching, because lately on TikTok, there's a lot of talk about this, Roe v. Wade getting overturned.
Yeah.
And I saw this one that I was like, wow. Obviously there's great arguments. But this one was like basically saying how, if you die and you didn't consent to being an organ donor, how there's like organ donors. If you don't consent to being an organ donor, it is illegal for anyone to take out your organs to save someone else's life.
Yeah.
So basically you as a dead person has more rights than a pregnant woman, because that's like you have more bodily autonomy as a dead person, because when you're dead, they can't, unless you gave consent before, they cannot use your body, even though you're already dead, to save another person's life that's already alive, someone that's about to die. Isn't that crazy?
It is pretty crazy.
Like you have to, that's what I always thought was a bit crazy. Like
I don't think we're ever, to be honest, Rose, I don't think we're ever going to be able to understand.
Yeah.
There's not
I'm much less offended at the fact that, if I die and I forgot to consent to be an organ donor, I don't give a fuck.
You're dead.
Fucking use my fucking body. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I'm in soil. My body is going to decompose. Who cares? I'm sorry. I know there's religious people, whatever. Okay. But fucking hell, dude.
I know.
It's fucking crazy. Anyways, I know we'll never understand it.
It's one of those things where I'm just like, I for the life of me, and I also saw some TikToks on it as well.
Right.
I think we're on the same algorithm.
We probably are.
Because like half the videos you sent me, I've already seen. Like the sad face office I saw. But I did see another TikTok, and they were just saying, oh, what did they say? I think it was like one of the arguments that you said about making men get a vasectomy or something.
Yes.
They were like, okay, well, why don't we just make mandatory vasectomies or something? I can't remember. It was like a funny TikTok. I wish I could remember the whole thing, but it was along those lines.
Listen, so I get it. Like, again, I know we've talked about this before, so I won't go too much into it, but like, I understand that, like, I feel like some of the arguments, I'm like, okay, we need to have an honest argument. Obviously, I understand that it is because some people believe that it is like an actual, like,
sentient,
you know, like a sentient being in the body. But at the same time, it's like when you have, first of all, it is not an independent, you know, person yet anyway, right? It is not an independent person yet. So until that fetus can become an independent person without the reliance on an actual person's body, that actual person, the host, I don't want to call it the host, but like the pregnant woman, her rights trump anything else. That's my perspective. Yeah. But yeah, some people are like, oh, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like some comparisons are not equivalent when people are like, oh, well, you wouldn't kill well, I mean, it's usually from the other side, like the pro-life side. They're like, oh, well, like, I'm not allowed to kill you. I'm like, yeah, because I'm not using your fucking body, bitch. Yeah. Like, what the fuck? That is not the same thing.
I don't know.
People need to take a class on, like, you know, debating or like logic.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that's
but
not.
No. Honestly, with some of these people, there's no way to because you remember when they used to compare
when they used to compare it to fucking Auschwitz.
Oh,
I'm like, are you stupid? Like, I'm sorry. Like,
we've said it before. We'll say it again. Stop making comparisons to the Holocaust.
Yes, or like, just like, and that's such a stupid comparison. Like, it's not the same thing.
I know,
like,
it's so dumb.
It's not the same thing. Anyway, I know you guys know this. Yeah. Anyway, what's the next story?
So the next story
is it gonna piss me off more?
I don't know. It's an interesting one.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh.
Isn't that weird?
What?
Yeah.
Can you read that? So I understand it?
Canada's top court says voluntary extreme intoxication can be, I think they need to say potential defense. Like it's because in the past, if you were severely intoxicated, you couldn't use that as a defense. You couldn't be like, oh, I was fucked up, you know? Apparently they're saying that this could be a potential defense. Not saying that, like, you know,
like in violent crimes.
Yeah. So the Supreme Court issued a major decision on Friday allowing criminal defendants in cases involving assault, including sexual assault. To use a defense known as self-induced extreme intoxication.
What? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm in shock.
I know. Effectively, it means defendants who voluntarily consume intoxicating substance and then assault or interfere with the bodily integrity of another person can avoid conviction if they can prove that they were too intoxicated to control their actions.
Is this a joke? Like, are we in the U.S.?
I know.
I'm sorry. What? What?
I know. It's just wild.
I'm sorry. Is this like past? Like, is this like an actual thing?
Mm-hmm.
I am in shock.
Yeah. I think the thing is,
what are your thoughts on this?
No, I think it's a little bit.
There's no way this can happen.
I think that the thing is I think that the hard part would be to establish that you were too intoxicated. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could try to use it as a defense, right? But like, I think the hard part, likely the court is saying you can use this as a defense. The likeliness of being successful in your case using this as a defense is probably extremely low. Because ultimately, like, the onus then becomes on you to be like, okay, how do you prove to the court that you were too intoxicated to know what you were doing?
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about. I mean, I think I know how I feel about this.
Yeah.
I mean, most violent crimes happen when they're drunk.
Yeah, but they're not saying just drunk. They're saying extreme intoxication. So, like, if you're just a little bit drunk, it wouldn't count. It's only
like if you're blackout drunk. Like,
if you're like so fucked up, you're like on all kinds of drugs, all sorts of shit. But then I'm also like,
this is so. I kind of get it, I guess.
But also, if it's self-induced, the thing is, okay, I'm gonna share a little bit with you guys, as somebody that has blacked out from drinking more than once. Which I'm not. What am I going to say? I'm not. Which is not something to like brag about. It's not a good thing.
No.
But there has been times where, like, my night I blacked out and I
You don't remember
I don't
anything.
remember. I would get home, wake up the next day and be like, oh my God, what happened?
I've had those nights too.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
but I'd never assault anyone.
That's the thing. It's not necessarily. Here's the thing. When you blackout drunk, it doesn't mean that you actually, I mean, I'm not sure, but like you're still, how do I say? You just lose your memory. Okay?
No, but like some people, I would see, this is the thing, Rose. I have seen this before where some people, for example, I worked in Newcastle with this lovely guy. He was one of the chefs. Super, super nice guy. Like, honestly, like really like in person.
What did he do when he was drunk?
When he was drunk, he would turn into not like mean to people, like his immediate friends.
Sure.
But he would like start fights. The last person you would expect to start a fight. Honestly, like at work, he was so non-confrontational with everybody. But like get a couple drinks in him and oh my God, it was like horrible. Like to the point where like we never wanted to go out with him anymore because he'd always just be starting fights. And that wasn't his personality though. That was just like as soon as he consumed alcohol, he like
I don't know,
it fucked with his brain or something.
Well, maybe it was though. Maybe it was like, what do you call it?
It was deep down.
Yes.
I don't know. It's a tough one just because I don't think that you should be able to excuse bad behavior on extreme intoxication.
Yeah.
But I do know that some people that get extremely intoxicated, they're not themselves. But
yes,
also
I do. Yes, there is some level of that.
Yeah. But if that's the case, like, and probably people aren't going to want to hear this, but if that's the case and you commit violent acts or you become an aggressive person when you're under the influence of drugs and alcohol, like maybe you should not drink that much. Yeah. Or just, I think maybe there's a balance to be said, hey, you know what? And it's saying it's self-induced. Like you chose to drink that much. So I feel like in terms of a defense, like,
but like sexual assault too, like it says effectively it means defendants who voluntarily consume intoxicating substances and then assault or interfere with the bodily integrity of another person can avoid conviction if they prove they were too intoxicated. I mean, would that be too hard to do? You could be like, yeah, like people saw me, I was fucking wasted.
Yeah, but I think I don't know.
That's the thing. You say it's hard, but you don't know. It depends on the jury. It depends on the case. Like it could be not as hard as we might think. I don't know. True. The problem is, I mean, I don't know. Like I believe in what do you call it? Repairing people. What's the term? Rehabilitation. Yeah. So maybe they don't necessarily have to, like the whole concept of jail is also like a little bit fucked up. Like, maybe we can rehabilitate these people. But they have to see some consequence. Like, yeah, they do. That's fucked up. I know. But who's this going to affect? Women. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
It seems like all these laws being passed lately are
that's because they're being passed by who, Daniel?
Old white man. Yeah. It's so crazy when you look at like the makeup. Like, I mean, we were talking about Ketanji
Brown Jackson.
Yeah. And how like, it's like she's like now the first like woman person of color ever on the panel, which I think is crazy in a place like the US because there's a lot of people of color in the US.
I know, but it's not crazy because they're racist as fuck.
I know, but it's just
not everyone, of course.
It just like shocks me because like as a society we're like, oh yeah, we're more welcoming and we're more this and we're more that, but a lot of the controlling institutions, such as the government, such as like other things, like big corporations, for example, like you know what? Look at your favorite company. And like, I would put money on it that like 9 out of 10 of those companies, if you look at their senior director or their board, it's all majority. They might have one woman on there. They might have one, ethnically diverse person. But I would say the majority of the makeup of those boards that control the companies are older white men. Yeah. And unfortunately, like when you have a makeup of like people, those are the people that are running the country. Those are the people that are in positions of power. You are going to get laws in their favor.
Exactly. That are out of touch with reality.
With so many things. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see what this actually.
I can't believe it, to be honest. Like I never like, well, what about like, what if you're drinking and driving? Like, here's the thing. This is a very slippery slope. Yeah. Because drinking and driving is a criminal offense, right? Yeah. Like it can be. Yes. Or whatever it is. I don't actually know the details.
You get like demerits. You can get like all sorts of things.
So if I say, like, if this can pass and I'm fucking belligerently drunk and I decide to get into a vehicle and I, hurt somebody or God forbid killed somebody, why can't I use that as a defense then? It's a fucking slippery slope.
It is a slippery slope.
Like, this is crazy. I don't know. This is fucking crazy, in my opinion. It's crazy, right? The more I read it, the more I think I don't know. It's insane. I mean, again, I believe in rehabilitation. Like, if you're so extremely intoxicated that you're like fucking, sexually assaulting someone or assaulting someone, you probably have fucking issues. Okay. But at the same time, there needs to be consequences. This
100%.
insane.
I do agree with you. I think it is a slippery slope. And I think like, I just feel like defense with like, you chose, it's self-induced, right? You chose.
It's different if somebody like forced you to fucking get drunk or something.
Exactly. Or if it was like forced, like drug intoxication, or, do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's a little different because you didn't choose to do that, but you have made a choice to get yourself to that level. You know what I mean? Be it at a party, be it at whatever you were doing. Like, you could have made that call many times to like stop before you got to that point, right? Like, and I've been there. Like, I've been extremely intoxicated before. Like, I had many moments where I could have walked away from that situation and left, and I didn't. And that was a choice that I made. So I need to live with those consequences of waking up the next day with a horrible headache and, dying, and everyone being like, Daniel, you were an embarrassment last night. I have to live with that. And that's a consequence I need to live with. Like,
but you've never hurt anybody.
No, exactly.
And my understanding is, or my theory is that somebody that's going to commit like some sort of assault when they are extremely intoxicated, they've definitely been extremely intoxicated before. Yeah. It is very, in my opinion, probably, it is very rare that somebody that they're getting drunk for the first time commit some kind of, extreme assault.
This is actually a really, really good point. And also, like, to that point, somebody that's getting extremely intoxicated, generally, like, if it's your first time drinking, okay, maybe you get extremely intoxicated, but like, generally, like, your first, because I remember
you're like passing out, like you can't do anything.
Exactly. Like, I remember my first time drinking, and I was a hot mess, and I could not do anything. But like, also, generally, people that are getting extremely intoxicated, they're not just doing it once in a while. Like, they're doing it like I'm a perfect example. No, but like, it's not like it's an isolated incident. Like, I can't say, oh, like, I've only gotten drunk one time this year. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's the same for these people. So and you're saying
it's a pattern. Yeah. So you're choosing to do it over and over again most of the time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is crazy.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
God, I just couldn't imagine, like, somebody that was extremely intoxicated, like, just
assaulting you.
Yeah, forcing themselves on me. Like,
it is like, no. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry that people have to go through that shit. Like, that's horrible.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then the fact that they could potentially get off saying that they're self-induced extreme intoxication.
Like, what the fuck? I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand laws. Laws don't make sense. Well, and I also saw another thing where, so I don't know that much. Again, we don't know that much about the U.S., system, whatever. But I know that they always talk about the fucking Constitution, okay? And they're always like, oh my God, they talk about the Constitution like it's fucking Bible, okay? It's a fucking Bible.
It is the Bible down there. Yeah. Don't you be dissing the Constitution of our rights.
People are still talking about Constitution, and they're saying, you know what? This shit was written back in like 17 whatever. I don't know, whatever year, long time ago.
Yeah.
When it was all old white men, and women and black people didn't have any rights.
Yeah.
And so why do people keep referring back to this Constitution when it's so, like, I don't want to say irrelevant, because fucking hell, like,
yeah, but it reminds me of, people have habits of doing this though, Rose. Like, look at, like,
people do this all the time. Talk about history like it's fucking, again, like it's gospel.
Well, this is and I'm probably gonna get some hate for this, but like, it's like another good example is the Bible.
Oh, that is even more.
That was written like, long time ago, right? Even the New Testament, like a long time ago.
It's the word of God.
I know, but I'm like, it was written at a time where, certain things, it was a different time of society. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's like, they always talk about certain clauses. Like, I haven't read the Bible in so long, so I don't know.
Have you even read the Bible ever?
Like, parts of it, yeah.
God damn.
I used to be in like a.
You'd be a little Catholic boy.
Mm-hmm. Goddamn. But I remember
you've only read certain parts.
Yeah.
Certain parts, guys. If you've actually read certain parts of the Bible, it's fucked up, man.
It is. And it's like a lot of stuff that they talk about. Like, one of them was like, oh, those that commit adultery should be stoned in the streets or something. And it's like, that's because that's what they used to do back then. Like, back in those times. But guess what? The times have changed. Now, if someone has an affair, generally it results in like a divorce or something along those lines. So, like, you're not going to stone somebody in the fucking streets.
No, why don't we do that? It's the word of God. This is where, like, the hypocrisy is just so real. They pick and choose, the extremely religious people, I'm saying. They pick and choose certain things that they want to believe, and then they put that on everyone else. Yet, when there's like shit about stoning people that commit adultery, that's ignored. Why don't we stone people?
And again, this is going to sound, I don't want to say majority of people, but a lot of the extreme, I want to say extreme religious, because I have some very religious friends that are actually like very,
they're fine. Most of them are fine.
But those extreme people generally are like the biggest hypocrites too.
Oh,
they're like
that they say something like there's no hatred like Christian love or something like that.
Well, it's like oh yeah, we love thy neighbor, blah blah blah. But I'm gonna disown my son because he's homosexual.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna do this and this and all this shit. And I'm just like, what?
Speaking of homosexual, I started watching that show you like.
Did you start watching Heart?
I
Stop
did.
it! Doesn't it warm the cockles of your heart?
So I watched the first episode and then maybe like half the second episode.
Mm-hmm.
So far, I do think it's adorable.
Yeah, it's so
but
cute.
I think the only reason I think it's so cheesy.
Oh, it is, yeah.
And it literally, the only reason why I think it is like, it's acceptable for me is because it's a gay relationship. Because we've seen this we've seen this storyline about 100 times in straight TV and straight movies. Yeah. So I feel like finally you guys get your own little,
it's
gay
so
version.
Nice.
Because literally it's like this is the storyline. You get like the jock, okay, the popular jock, and then you get kind of like the nerdy, usually it's a girl, right? So you get the popular jock and the nerdy girl that like, is like insecure, doesn't have many friends, okay, and then they like, start, so this storyline is like overdone.
Oh, it
in
is
straight television and straight movies.
But this is what I mean. So
that's why it's good to have like, and it's like the first one. I feel like.
Yeah. Well, there's been a couple others, but nothing like this.
Right.
And the way that this one ends, I'm not going to tell you, but it's like really nice.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, like I this is one thing, and I'm not just talking about like LGBT community. I'm talking about like multiracial couples.
Sure.
All sorts of things. It needs to start. And I think it's kind of started, but if you think about it, like all the big like rom-coms, like think of the big classics, right? Generally, and like I'm sure
white people,
exactly. Some people are gonna be like, no, this one. It's same with like, okay, look at Marvel. Look at like all of these ones. It's like relationships of like superheroes. They're always white generally or majority. Dating a white girl. It's a heterosexual couple. You don't have, like. Where's the Asian representation? Yeah. Where's the people of like, all different nationalities? Let's start making these films, like still make these superhero films, but like why they always gotta be white?
They've done a little better with the black, they sprinkle in a few black people in there. But then the Asian people, they're always like the stereotypical, or they're just like the third friend that like has like 3 lines that's like the comedic relief or something.
Yeah, or they have like the gadgets.
What are the gadgets?
Like little things they'll be like, oh my god, I have the newest phone, or like like if
it's pretty bad. And like actually I swear it's until about like probably like 1970s and 1980s it was so bad the way that they portrayed Asians.
Yeah.
I think it was like Breakfast at Tiffany's or something. They had like, I don't even know if it was an Asian person. It was like some white person playing like the most stereotypical like Asian character.
Oh god.
So it's crazy how like not that long ago that was.
But like that's what I mean. Like what I like, I think
we
that
need normal representation of every
normal representation.
I don't even
like,
want to call it minority group. I hate that term.
I also hate it. I just wish that movies would reflect more like what we see in our society nowadays, right? Like you walk around the streets of Calgary, and you do see like a lot of white people here as well, but you also see a lot of other ethnicities, right?
Colors.
Exactly, and you see all sorts of plethoras of relationships. You see, Asian people dating Asian people. You have this person dating this person. You have mixed race. You have this. And it's like, I feel like media should start reflecting that more.
I know.
In terms of like, maybe let's have like a superhero that's like Spider-Man, but why doesn't he like an Asian guy or something? Do you know what I mean? Like, why not mix it up a little bit? Like make it a different story.
I know. I don't know why. Like, it's like, I don't know. Why is that difficult?
I mean,
nowadays they're doing it, but like...
I still think it's still a big divide,
I know.
Like, I still think...
it's still also like very good looking people too. So that's another problem.
It's always mega attractive people. Right? So...
Yeah, we need some more... Yeah, because I was like... When I was watching this, I was like, it reminds me of like 90s like rom-coms, like so cheesy. But like, again, you've never had it in like the homosexual world.
Exactly. Like this is the thing.
It is nice.
It's nice to have like this is a cool little story, like it's starting to get more of these where it's like, I really wish there could be like a blockbuster. I mean, because there was like, obviously there's Brokeback Mountain, but it was a sad story. You know?
It was like a tragedy.
Yeah, but I'd like to have a blockbuster where it's like normalized.
Tragedy.
What's that?
I mean, wasn't Brokeback Mountain a great tragedy?
It was. I mean, it was an amazing film.
Did you love it? Like, what was your, like, you watched it in theater?
Yeah, I think I did actually. Yeah.
It was such a good film.
It was.
It was one of my favorite films for a long time.
Yeah.
It still is, actually.
It's such a sad
it's
story.
So sad.
Like,
it
I bawled
I'm
at
sure
the
you
end.
bawled. I'm sure you bawled. It's so sad. I don't think I bawled, but I was very sad.
Yeah. Like, that one's
like, this is such a sad story.
That one's a tough one. So it's like, but it would be nice to have like, you know, like, for example, like you have like these big rom-coms like The Notebook or something like that.
Right.
Wouldn't it be great to have it something normalized, but like a gay couple or a lesbian couple or like, you know, but something that's like hits the mainstream, you know, and it's like.
Well, I think one of the things that was good about Brokeback Mountain, they did a lot to like, you know, for the community, I guess, or whatever, because first of all, I think they portrayed very stereotypically like masculine men in this, you know, relationship, which I think was a good thing. Like it was very 100%. You know, because a lot of people assume gay men are always very feminine, which is obviously not true, especially in this case right here, you know. And also they were not very shy about like putting in very intimate scenes. Okay, there was some fucking intimate scenes
exactly
in there.
And they went all in. Like when the thing is, when they were kissing, it was like
it was very intense.
It felt like a real kiss. It felt like normally if a guy and a girl were kissing, do you know what I mean? Like they didn't do like a real, they were just like full in, right? So I think that was good. And I also think it showed, because Brokeback Mountain did so, like if I recall, it did really well.
It did very well.
It was like a lot of hype around it, all of this kind of stuff, and it showed that like a LGBT movie could be mainstream, could do well. Absolutely. Like, right. So I think there's appetite there. I just like, I wish there was like more of it. I wish it was more normalized. Like,
I know.
I always say this to Rose when we like talk about this stuff. Like, I just really wish that it was like, we got to a point at some point in society where, you know, we wouldn't even like look at a couple and be like, oh, they're multiracial. We'll just be like, oh, that's a lovely couple. You know what I mean? And same with like, oh, it's two guys, it's two girls, it's a guy and a girl. It's like, we wouldn't even see that. We would see it for what it is like a love story or like a, you know, that kind of stuff. Like I can't wait till we get to that point. And like, even I was mentioning about Disney and having like Disney representation where little kids are growing up and they're seeing different types of couples, different races, and it's starting to normalize that at a really young age. But of course, you know, don't say gay.
Oh my God. I mean, I think it's getting a little better in terms of, at least like from my perspective, you know, when I meet people and they're like, oh yeah, like if it's a girl, it's like, oh yeah, my girlfriend, or if it's a guy, oh yeah, my boyfriend. I like don't even bat an eye. I'm just like, oh cool. Yeah. Like I don't really think about it. Yeah. So I think that is something, I think maybe 10 years ago I would have been like, oh, you know.
True.
Like I would have been, so in that's just from me. But like,
also you're also very ingrained, Rose. You have so many gay friends.
I do have a lot of gay friends, so maybe that
it's more normalized for you now, right?
Yeah, from my perspective, it is very normal. And like, when I meet people and they're like, you know, they talk about their girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, I'm just like, cool.
But I agree. I think you're right, because like, for example, like when we first met, and you know, like one of our friends was like, oh my God, is Daniel gay?
Yeah, he was like, is he bi? No, he said, is he bi?
Yeah.
And I was like, I just thought you were gay from the beginning. Yeah. So I was like, no, I think he's gay. And then he's like, oh my God, like. Yeah. He's like, are you sure? And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't ask him.
But I think nowadays that would be less likely to happen. People just be like, oh, cool.
Right.
Like, you know.
Actually, I don't know. Like he was a straight man. I feel like straight men would still ask.
Who knows?
Anyways,
damn.
Although sometimes you do kind of wonder where, like, if they're not talking about their partner, you're like, sometimes, you know, maybe you meet a guy and you're like, is he, you know, maybe he's a little cute, but maybe on the feminine side. You know, as I've experienced times on okay, but that's different. If I'm going on a date with somebody, they can't be gay.
Oh God damn, Rose. Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah.
What a discussion. We talked about got all kinds of things.
Get representation in media. I want to see more of it. More people of color.
More people are fighting
like,
against it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't give a fuck. Okay, even if I was like, because there is some element of cringe sometimes, like for example, Sex and the City reboot. What was it called? And Just Like That, the reboot, which I did not finish because it was so bad. Where it's like they're trying too hard. Yeah, it's like they're trying to do too much wokeness, like too much.
Yeah.
Right. So there's that element. So you do have to do it in a way that it feels natural.
Yeah.
So
don't
that's
force
the
it.
problem. Like, I don't like it when that happens, but I don't, I don't give a fuck, but of course I want there to be more representation.
Yeah.
But people that are like really against it, I'm like, why do you care? Like, just fucking leave it. Like, who cares? Like, it's a fucking Disney show.
I know.
These people are making such a big deal.
Well,
I'm like,
and I love that the whole argument though, and you made a really good point last time we talked about this, the whole argument around like, don't expose kids to this, especially young kids. Like we don't want to like, what is it called? Like
indoctrinate.
Indoctrinate
Which
them.
Joe Rogan, of course, keeps talking about.
Yeah. And talks about this. Right. And I'm like, okay, as somebody that is a proud gay man, that grew up in a society where there was no media like that, or there was, but it was like underground. It wasn't commonplace. It wasn't like it is now, like Heartstopper and all these other ones being on like Netflix where kids could watch it, right? Like it was never like that for me growing up. And I still turned out gay. You know what I mean? Like I never turned out gay. I was always gay.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you're not going to create more gay people by exposing kids to what is out in the world. What you're going to create is a lot more people with tolerance, a lot more people that are accepting, a lot more people that like don't give a shit who you're dating or what your nationality is. Like you're going to create actually a better society in my perspective, like my way of thinking. You're not going to force somebody, you're not going to create gay people. Like you're not going to create like, you know, if anything, what you're creating is more bigots and more people that are less accepting of these kind of things and will be more shocked when they get older and like, oh my God, 2 guys, 2 girls, what the fuck, you know?
That's
like
what they want to create though, isn't it?
I know, but this is what's
that's
crazy
how
to
they
me.
are.
It's so funny when they talk about indoctrination because I'm like, guess what? I grew up.
You were indoctrinated.
And look at all the generations before us. Look at the
know.
generation where like LGBTQ plus people, they had to like hide behind closed doors. They were still gay, lesbian, all that stuff.
Gay as hell.
Exactly. But they had to hide it. And at that time there was like pretty much no media.
I know.
Right? It wasn't represented. If it was represented, it was very in a negative light.
Yeah.
So it's like that doesn't mean that you're going to create more people. They were already fucking there, you know?
No kidding. That's why I'm like, this is such a stupid argument. And like Joe Rogan said something that was so stupid recently. I mean, he always does, but like, anyway, he said something extra stupid where he was like, because he was talking about the whole like, oh, I don't want teachers teaching kids about, you know, gay, whatever.
Yeah.
And then he was saying how he's like, what if there was a situation where, you know, gay kids were being told that if gay kids were being told that they are going to go to hell if they are gay. I'm like, what do you mean, what if? That is literally the situation.
Exactly.
Like, why are you doing a what if? Like, that's literally what happens. Like, you're proving the opposite point. Like, there is indoctrination every single day to gay kids or to kids in general.
Well, and it's funny because they're like, you can't portray like a same-sex couple, but you can portray a heterosexual couple.
Exactly.
So I'm like, there's a double standard there. So is that not technically indoctrination for people that are LGBTQ+?
So they see LGBT in like representation as like something like negative, right?
Yeah.
Like they see it differently. There's definitely a huge double standard. And it's like, oh, like the fact that he said, oh, just imagine a world where gay kids were being told they're going to go to hell if they're gay.
Yeah.
I don't have to imagine. Like, that's literally the world we live in.
Exactly.
Like, anyways. And on that positive
note, guys, we're ending this episode of the podcast. Don't worry, we still have a few more episodes that we're recording in May.
I know, we're like...
Before our big break. So we are taking a break, but don't worry, guys. Still stay, subscribe to the channel, all that stuff, because there will be content coming 1 month after our big break.
I mean, we're not taking a break yet, so let's not be dramatic.
That's true. Let's not be dramatic.
We're not taking a break yet. We're still coming back next week.
Yeah.
So make sure you subscribe to this channel. If you are watching on YouTube, give this video a big thumbs up, you guys. And of course, comment on any of the discussions we had today, respectfully, of course.
Yeah.
And make sure you follow us on whatever podcast platform you're listening on, whether it's Spotify or iTunes or where is it iTunes?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think so.
Apple Podcasts. I don't know. Or wherever. And of course, do check out our Patreon because we are still going to do that May exclusive we are going to get drunk and spill some motherfucking tea. God damn. We got some tea.
And there'll be some
YouTuber drama.
Oh, god damn.
God damn. It gonna be sizzling tea.
It's gonna be some sizzling vibrations.
What's sizzling tea? I don't even know. steeping hot tea.
It's gonna be steep tea.
A steep tea.
Okay.
Anyways, so yeah, make sure you check that out. And yeah, follow us on Instagram at the SaVeg Podcast. We also have a TikTok, which I'm trying to grow, which I should post more on. Yeah. It's called the SaVeg Podcast. Make sure you check that out. And we will talk to you guys next week. Say bye, Daniel.
Bye, guys. Bye.